Okay, so it's noon, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the May FANN office hours. My name is Emma Haslow, and I am your FANN Association Services Coordinator. And also in the Zoom, but with no webcam, is our office volunteer, Gwen Berkowitz. And I also want to acknowledge one of our FANN board directors at large, Joe Hayden, and our past president, Bruce Turley, who are both here in the Zoom. So just like last month's office hours, I have a few topics that we can go over, and more than welcome for everybody to discuss and give their input. That's why we have these. And at the end, we can also go through any questions that you might have, whether it be plant related, business related, FANN related. Certainly we'll answer those. And I just want to do a quick Zoom housekeeping. So just remember, if you have a lot of background noise around you, to keep yourself muted. And you can do that by clicking the little microphone at the bottom of your Zoom window. Okay, so I think the big reason a lot of you are here is the what we've dubbed the milkweed drama. I just put into the an update that I have is that the Florida Native Plant Society has put out a statement. I just put it in the chat, a link. It is on their website. You can go to the fnps.org and it's on the blog page, or you can use the link that I just sent in the chat. The FANN board has endorsed that statement. So you can read that and know that the FANN board agrees with what is in it. Just kind of a quick overview. They recommend that tropical milkweed not be planted and removed from all gardens and yards where it occurs. They do not recommend the removal of native milkweeds from gardens or natural areas. And again, there's obviously more detail in the statement. The next step for FANN is we will be working on a policy asking our members to not sell tropical milkweed. So that will be the next step from FANN.
No, ma'am. I like her. I love her. She's not having my pizza.
Was there anybody who had any comments or questions on that?
Just turned it off. You want to sit on the bed?
I don't really care.
And again, if everybody can make sure they're muted if they have some background noise, I'd appreciate it. Okay, thank you. So yeah, so that's the update with that. And again, like I said, for anybody who's just joining, FNPS put out a statement. It was endorsed by the FANN board. I put a link to the statement on their website in the chat, so you can review that. And the next step, like I said, is we will be working on a policy asking our members to not sell tropical milkweed. Some quick updates, the retail guide, which I know a lot of people are really looking forward to. We are in the process right now of getting that to the printer. We're really hoping to get it there this week in the next couple days. They usually print pretty quickly, so we are hoping to have copies of it in the next couple weeks, and we will work on distribution. And this is for all of our members, again, who serve the retail market. This is the publication you will be listed in. And then for the rest of you who serve the commercial, we have begun working on the Native Plant and Service Directory. That is happening right now. Some of you might have already gotten emails about it. We have reached out to some of our current advertisers. We sent out an email to all of our commercial members to see if you're interested in advertising. If you haven't in the past, please reach out and I can give you the details. And our growers, you should have gotten an email confirming your plant availability, which is important to keep updated as the directory has plant listings in it. And you're going to get more email in the next few days, again, to our commercial members, emails just to confirm your contact and listing information. So that's just a heads up on that. And we are planning on having that publication available in August in time for the FNGLA landscape show in Orlando, which is our usual timeline. Joe, I know that you went to the IFAS Summit and the ground cover workshop. Did you have anything you wanted to speak on that? And anybody else who was there, feel free, but I know Joe went to that.
I wasn't able to be at both days, but I was at the first one, and there was a lot of talk about native plants, which is good. That's what we want to hear. But there is definitely a lot of talk about water issues. So native plants will be what will help us with the landscaping for that situations. But definitely a lot of talk about native plants throughout the whole program. So it was a good show.
Was this for the IFAS Summit or the ground cover
The
workshop?
IFAS, I didn't get to go to the ground cover because of
Oh, okay.
issues at the nurseries. I had to get back, but you know, they are working on new varieties of frog fruit and some more varieties of grasses that will be able to be drought tolerant. So that's what they're working on for sods that will have a mixture of things plus a better grass that, you know, would need less water because there's actually, they are going to start forcing us where it's 1 day a week watering on a lot of areas. So it's going to be some drastic changes happening with landscaping.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joe. Is there anybody else who's at that summit or at the ground cover workshop that has anything they want to add? Heard it was both were very good this year. Oh. Okay. All right, and then I just have a few. Well, actually, the first thing I think I want to get to because I see Clint is here, and Clint Clint had a question about Clint, did you want to go ahead and ask your question about the muley grass?
Yeah, I was curious about muley grass and dwarf Waxahachie grass, about the best ways to maintain it. Because the last FANN conference I went to, some fellas said it was not good to give it haircuts. And so I'm wondering how to keep it looking good in the landscape.
So it's actually better to give it a haircut. It's a matter of opinion. We do it every year, and it gives all the old growth that you trim off, and it's better if you trim it as low as you can, and that's what I do with the Waxahachie and the muley, and then the new growths. You know, if it's how you trim it, if you trim it, then it will have the little brown stubs sticking up that don't look nice, but it's better to cut it very low. You get a better look. So to me, as a grower, we trim back and it gives a nicer look in that fresh new growth. I know with the Waxahachie, we trimmed it back last year and it is producing even more seed heads this year than it's ever done. So.
Okay, thank you for your input.
Yep, no problem.
My personal experience with it is that the juvenile grasses will tolerate the cuts well, and some grasses tolerate it better than others. For muley grass, I've just seen too many catastrophes with too hard of cuts on them. I personally prefer to just clean the duff out from underneath them occasionally, and they never get that hacked look and they stay healthy. I've got muley grass in my own yard that I've done that with for 20 some years, and they're still healthy and beautiful.
Okay.
I've actually seen major die-offs on roadway plantings and such where they come in and they do those hard cuts, and then they look ugly a year later because you can still see where the hard cut was made. Other things like regular Waxahachie grass seems to tolerate it really well, a hard cut, but muley grass doesn't seem to do so well with it. And I've even had problems with dwarf Waxahachie with it not recovering from hard cuts. But you know, every circumstance may be a little different, every setting.
Okay. And then one thing I heard was that the grass kind of goes dormant in the winter time. So if you are giving it a cut, you shouldn't do it in the fall or in the winter. You should wait till the spring or early summer. Does that make sense?
That would seem logical, yeah.
Okay.
I know, I'm not sure if you're seeing the chat, Clint, but Jane Thompson said that it definitely needs to be dethatched after the blooms are spent by about January.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jane.
And I also stuck in the chat a link to a video on our FANN YouTube page where somebody demonstrates one way to maintain, I think it's muley grass is the focus of the video.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I'm gonna bring up this topic because it was brought to us by one of our members, and again, if anybody has any opinions on any of the things that I've spoken so far, please feel free to say something. Just because I've already hit on it doesn't mean we can't revisit it. So one of our members who does some retail selling brought up was wondering if anybody in FANN has any standard practices on plant warranties or plant returns. She's had some, people, I think a lot of you retailers have had people, return plants or have issues with plants. And so she's curious what some of you have, your policies are, how you deal with it. I see Jane says no way, which I get. And she says, yeah, she doesn't take returns, which that's the one policy, definitely one way to go. And I just wanted to throw that out there if there was anybody who had other ideas on it.
One of the things we used to do at Wilcox was that we would offer people half price on replacement plants. And I always think of something that Everett Wilcox said to me when I first got into the business. He said, if you went down to the Cadillac dealership and bought a Cadillac, went down the road and you drove into a utility pole, is that Cadillac dealer going to give you a new Cadillac? And of course, the answer is no. So, a lot of times it's the responsibility of the person that's purchased the plant to maintain it properly. So we had to do a lot of back step to create documents for people when they were buying plants about proper watering and care of the plant to establish them. That seemed to be really an important step in trying to reduce some of the failures that people would take, plants home, have them sitting in pots for 2 weeks and not water them properly, put them in the landscape and not water them properly. So just trying to get them educated when they were buying the plant seemed to be one of the biggest steps that we took to try to help reduce some of the problems with that.
Yeah. Jane says she has a notification on her wall that the customer should check the quality of their plants before buying, and that there are no returns or exchanges, which I think that's a really good point. And a main thing to do is to make whatever policy you have to make that very clear up front. And to your point, Bruce, yeah, if you wreck your car, they're not going to give you a new one. Just like if you kill your plant, the nursery shouldn't give you a new one.
Yeah, up here, we're native nurseries in Tallahassee, and our policy is what everybody else is saying. If they can bring us back the plant in the condition it left the nursery, we'll refund it or exchange it for something else. But as far as them taking it home and leaving it full sun to bake, we're not guaranteeing anything can survive that without water.
Anyone else have anything on that topic of plant returns? I know we have some other retailers in here. Did anybody else have anything else they wanted to discuss? Wanted to open that up, so I don't hog all the time with my notes. And again, they can be anything. You can have a plant question like Clint had, question about your membership, a landscaping question. Floor is open.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. Before, one of the fellows went to that ground cover thing and are talking about better sods. Or that was my note. But I recently did a job where I planted some St. Augustine Citra Blue. And I'm just totally amazed at how it grows kind of parallel to the ground and not reaching for the sun, and therefore doesn't need mowing as often. So that's just an observation I made. I haven't heard that much about the plant. And here in Delray Beach, we have one sod guy, TJ Turf, and he brings it in once a week. It's a special order item. But in the future, I'm going to try using that Citra Blue sod instead of other sod when it comes to having to do sod. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Clint. Anybody else? Again, the floor is open. Oh. Yes, Jane. I thought they would get a little more discussion on the milkweed, but that's fine. Okay, so here is a question from, Elizabeth. She asks, are any landscapers use a native Carex instead of the, and I apologize for butchering these names, the Liriope, Liriope. So if you're using the native Carex instead of that. Any of our, and you can see these questions in the chat if I butcher that so much you don't know what I'm talking about. Does anybody have, yeah.
Yeah, I use Liriope, evergreen giant Liriope on some jobs. And there's a variety I use that's called Emerald Goddess. And it seems to flower a little bit better in South Florida than just normal Liriope. But, and then the way to maintain that is to, like that fellow said with the muhly grass, you go in there and you pull out the dead fronds. But as far as any care for Liriope, it's something that I use in a lot of my landscapes when I have trouble finding a native plant that will fill the void and I need a nice orderly look. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any comments on using the native Carex? Is sort of Liriope.
They think that there should be options like that we need to exercise more. Some other thoughts might be, witchgrass or black-seeded needlegrass. But like with black-seeded needlegrass, you have the tall fluorescence, and that may not work in some locations where Liriope has been the option. But it seems like with over 500 species of grasses plus our sedges and Carex that we should have some options out there. It's availability in the market that might be the biggest problem.
Does that answer your question, Elizabeth? I hope that.
Yes, thank you for sharing. We at Native Nurseries just started our own production farm, plant nursery. So we're growing a lot of our own natives, and I'm really looking for a Liripe replacement because our landscapers do like to use that often for erosion control. So I'm just wondering if anybody has any experience, with a native alternative. And we actually got in 2 types of calyxes from, I think, Emerald Coast growers. They're in the Panhandle, and one of them is a calyx it's like a Cherokee calyx. I think it's Calyx cherokeensis. And then there's another one, calyx. I don't remember the species, but they're both native here to Florida. And so I will be experimenting with those to see if they do well, and they are evergreen and they can take sun and shade. And so I'm real interested to see, and I will share that information with y'all if we have good success.
I would look forward to hearing back on that.
Yes, thank you. And then a question from Peter is, what is the best way to eliminate potato vine? One's like, I don't know. And we may not have anybody who knows. That's fine. I just throwing it out there. So yes, if you happen to know the best way to get rid of potato vine, you can let us know and we'll pass it on to Peter. Okay, and then James has a question. What do you think about spiderwort as a replacement for the native rain lily? Oh, sorry. She meant that for the. Hold on, I'm going to read the chat.
One thing I would say about the spiderwort is that might be a doable thing, except for its heavy seeding. But what I found with spiderwort, like wild petunia and some of our other species, is that when they've finished a heavy bloom, you can cut them back to the ground in a couple of weeks. They regenerate. In the case of spiderwort, they can almost be kept blooming throughout the entire growing season if you cut them back after each heavy bloom. Same with wild petunia. And you can still have them like as a nice clump of foliage through the winter by cutting them back hard after a late season bloom. At least in this area of the state in Central Florida.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm sorry, Jane, if I misunderstood your question. Okay, yeah. So we were talking about the native rain lily instead of the lower. Again, I'm going to butcher it. I apologize. The Loriopi. Okay. Are there any other questions? Again, floor is open to any topic. And I just want to say again, if you were late in joining, we did touch on the milkweed issue. I just put again a link to the statement that was put out by the Florida Native Plant Society that the FANN board has endorsed. So you can see that, and then FANN's next step, like I said earlier, again, for anybody who came in late, will be to come up with a policy asking our members to not sell tropical milkweed. I know that's a big subject right now, so I wanted to make sure I hit it again for anybody who wasn't in here when we first started. Okay, and then there's still a little few comments in there about more replacement for that. Okay. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Hopefully next time we do this, I know Kate from Paradise Found had a question about median plantings. I can't quite find it. So if you think of questions in between now and the next one, you can always email them to me early and I'll stick them in my notes. All right, if nobody has anything, then we can end the meeting. I know I'd like to keep these at no more than an hour. It's only been about half an hour. I don't want to keep anybody if nobody has any other questions or anything they want to discuss. And I can say on here, if anybody who joined late, if you have any questions about something you might have missed, I can certainly stay and answer them. But I think if we don't have any other questions, then we can end the meeting. I know that we're going to be doing these every month. So if you don't have a question now, we'll wait till next month and we can do it again. Did you have something, Catherine?
Oh, I totally can't work my Zoom. I just joined, so I was wondering how you access these meetings after the fact to listen to.
Yes, that is a good question. These are being recorded and I am going to put them up on our FANN YouTube page and I will send out a link to the videos.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, good.
If anybody is still in here, William from Urban Paradise Guild is looking to stock their nursery with black ironweed, satin leaf, and a few other native seedlings.
Yes. Do you guys have any connections here for South Florida on where maybe I can collect either seeds or collect these types of seedlings? We have a lot of different natives in our nursery right now, but I am looking for more like standard tree type natives because that seems to be like a hot topic down here in South Florida. So I think that we might want to start focusing on that a little bit more, but we don't have like any connection for seedlings or seeds of these types of trees that are canopy trees, might be softwood trees like the paradise tree, the satin leaf, I believe might be a softwood tree as well. But long story short, there's a lot of issues with trees in front of people's houses, trees in parking lots, causing damage to structures, right? And I'm sure we have that everywhere, but even more so down here in South Florida where our soil is so shallow. So we, or I have thought of growing these softwood trees and installing them, if it's in front of a house near a driveway or near a sidewalk, or if it's in a big parking lot, commercial parking lot where people are always looking for shade, but these big old trees are always busting up the curbings. You know, maybe planting these trees that will develop a canopy, but not cause damage. So I've found like trees like this might be trees that that would be good for this. But again, long story short, I'm looking for seeds or seedlings or connections for something like that. And I'm wondering if anyone has a connection.
Oh, I typed in that Jane at Indian Trails might have those species and seedlings, but it looks like she signed off. Otherwise, you would probably have to find one of the growers in Homestead that might have them.
Yeah, the growers that I have run into all have them like already big, you know, they're selling them retail pretty much or wholesale, whatever you want to call it. But we want to grow them. You know, we're looking for them in like trays, or maybe there's a park. You know, we have a park here, Vizcaya, and we found out that they got a bunch of red stoppers, a bunch of paradise trees, seedlings there that we can dig out for free, and it's pretty much like a maintenance thing is how they're looking at it, and they don't mind us doing that. So but it's limited to a few species that actually have the opportunity to sprout like crazy over there. So maybe there's parks that someone may know of these trees existing out there that they've seen some seedlings or something like that.
Yeah, I know that seed is a big issue. FANN always recommends, like you said, working, if you see them out in the wild, working with, you know, the local municipality or the landowner to collect seed. We do have some members who do that. So definitely start with that and working with landowners who may have it. Like Bruce said, you may want to check with Jane or if you go to the FANN site, the fan.org, you might be able to contact the people who are growing it and just see if they can sell you. They may have it listed at bigger sizes, but maybe you could work with them to have them sell you the seed instead of, you know, the liners, the gallons or whatever they might be growing it to.
Okay, so
I had suggested Jane because I gotten seedling trees from her in the past.
Mhm.
Those are species that she might very likely have, but
okay.
sure.
So I'll look Jane up, and if you also said if I go on the fan page, I can just search up the tree species and it'll search up who
Yeah.
has them. Okay.
Yeah, so if you go to the
All right.
fan.org, there's a drop down menu where you can put in the botanical name, and it will take you to a page for that particular plant, and it will show you the fan members who are listing it.
Okay.
And on that
Awesome.
site, you can also find Jane. Again, like Bruce said, she's Indian Trails.
Great.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a great day.
You too. Again, if anybody else has any questions, feel free. I know we kind of, some people left already, but the floor is open. If we don't have any more, we can keep this meeting short, which is totally fine. I just don't want to take anybody's opportunity away to ask something. Okay, so again, really appreciated that question from Will. So if that is it, like I said, we could end this meeting, which is fine. And again, like I said, we do this every month. We're going to be doing this every month. So in June, we will have it. And if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, you can bring them to that meeting. You can email me ahead of time and I'll stick them in my notes so I know to ask you about it. So we thank everybody for coming and for your time. We appreciate it.
Right.
Bye.